Trickster.
Yeah, there you go.
We're live everywhere. We're 4 minutes late, but technology is a lot of fun. So here we are. We were just saying it's Turnaround Tuesday, or GP saying it's Turnaround Tuesday. Gautam, please go right ahead and explain why you're saying it's Turnaround Tuesday.
So we've been we talked about this last week, and the weakness was very apparent in general. And you continue to see the weakness, no bounce, no relief, just straight down in so many names. And today we opened and you finally had the slaughter that we needed in the generals, right? Like Meta was down, retesting April 9th highs. That boner candle from April 9th, it retested the close, and so far it's holding it. So as long as these things hold, you're looking at a full retest of 7 months in Meta, a full retest of 7 months, 200 points straight down since earnings. It is at least a tradable bounce at this moment. I think it's more than that. This is the level that we talked about in July and in August as well. The SPX 6740 fib number. It has been a pain in the ass since September, since we tagged it. We have tried to break through it and came back and reverted through it. You also have small caps retesting the election breakout. Elections. After 4 years of doing nothing, it's still retesting the election breakout. You also have the VIX at areas where you could get maybe a week or two higher here. But ultimately, it's at the tail end of, my opinion, what's going on here. Yeah, there's a lot of factors to say. You should put some money to work with some tight stops. If you're wrong, it's not too bad, right? Like I put money to work on Meta.
But we're not to VIX 30 yet.
We are not. But we also have no reason to be at VIX 30 in general, right? Like
that's another conversation. Like, right. I would argue there's no reason for us to have VIX in the mid-20s, but...
Agreed.
Sorry. I didn't mean to jump on you and steal your shine while you were talking about Turnaround Tuesday. My bad. I'm a little sensitive today.
Yeah.
I think we're all a little sensitive today.
I'm less sensitive today than I was yesterday. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, yesterday and today, definitely feeling raw on the insides.
Ooh.
I'm kind of like, looking at the spiders, the SPY, for instance, on the daily, the slow moving stochastics are finally reaching an oversold reading. The McClellan this morning, the lowest tick I saw was I think 178. So I didn't quite get the negative 200 reading. I actually took a play out of your playbook, GP. The two things I was focused on was Netflix and Bitcoin.
Yeah, baby.
I don't know if I got lucky or good. I don't really fucking care. But I was focused on Netflix, just thinking with the split. And it kind of sitting there on the 200-day. And then if you zoom out to the weekly, it's kind of gone, I think, 3 weeks tight on the 200-day. The mag names have been kind of you've seen Meta sell off, Amazon kind of getting hit, Google holding up, Microsoft kind of sitting there flirting with 500. I think Tesla versus 400 is kind of a level to watch or a pivot to play against. And then if I'm with you. I think this is either a capitulation day or the beginning of something a little bit kind of deeper into the end of the year. If you're just looking at the cues, I hate the head and shoulders pattern, but I think you could kind of argue a bit of a head and shoulders look to it. on the daily, and this morning we cracked that neckline. I was thinking that we were going to be testing the low of that 1010 bar. I've been sharing the NQ chart quite a bit on StockTwits, just being that the 1010, the Friday 1010, along with the Monday 1013 are the two highest volume bars over the last probably 6 plus. The two highest volume bars actually since we bottomed out in April. And so I thought those were going to kind of act as magnets. We kind of undercut the low of Monday's candle, but obviously we're kind of reclaiming that now. So we're kind of flirting with that zone. And if you are looking at the NQs, they did kind of build out like an ABCD pattern where the D point would have coincided with the low of that Friday. So that's kind of why I thought that was going to be acting as a magnet. And then on top of that, like typically when you see these measured moves hit, we typically get a bounce, a pause of something. So I agree. Like I think we should at the very least get a tradable bounce. I think if you're coming from a cash standpoint, it's worth throwing a starter on, but on a short term, you kind of want to see price kind of bounce, go sideways and put in like a higher low. And then I guess to quick back up, like I said, I was focusing on Netflix and Bitcoin, and the same thing with Bitcoin. It's like, you could say that to kind of prove my point, I guess. You had a big range in Bitcoin from 107 to 125, which would have put the measured move based on range expansion down to 90,000. We hit 90,000, basically drilled it, and we're bouncing today on pretty heavy volume. So like how I would be looking at the Bitcoin chart is like today is like kind of your day one rally attempt. So we want to see price kind of like, pop, rally, and then kind of put in a higher low somewhere, and then we can kind of see like a kind of I don't know, a follow through, somewhat of like a follow through kind of day.
You gotta have some strength, right? You gotta show some strength, or it's not. It's fugazi. It's fugazi.
I was thinking kind of a blessing that we saw the 200-day get taken out in Bitcoin. I'm kind of looking at it as like a major refresh, and I think it'd be really pretty to see. In the name of the inverse head and shoulders, it'd be really pretty to see price kind of bounce back up to that 105, 107. Once price reclaims, I know 100,000 is a big psychological level, but the floor or the ceiling that I'm looking at is the 107. So like if we could get price to kind of bounce back to 107, pull in, maybe hold 100, and kind of build out that inverse head and shoulders, we could be setting up for like a pop and kind of a major leg higher.
This pivot right here.
Yep.
I'm going to put a heart beside it because that's the only way that I can get over my pain of being along. There you go, Nick.
Yeah, I think our space, he asked me, or he kind of pointed out on Twitter, he's like, dude, if you're not going to put money to work on a day like today, when do you buy? And I was like, generally I agree, especially for position traders, trend traders, if you're kind of building into a position, longer term traders. So it depends on your time frame, your style, and your strategy. If you're a momentum trader, like you're not putting money to work today. You're going to wait for kind of an ABCD leg off the lows, where you have kind of a real definable pivot.
But you do have a definable pivot, right? Like let's talk about some, maybe not across the whole market, but
an individual name. Sure. Yeah.
So like you can put money to work in terms of like Meta is a great example. It tagged the April 9th highs, that boner candle, the second largest candle in history of the Qs, right? that day Meta tagged 587.77 and closed at 585 and change. And today it tagged it. We're there. You have very minimal risk here against, yes, it can gap down. And even if you have stops, you're going to get slapped, right? But your risk here is 0.5% versus this pivot.
I'm just saying, like a momentum trader is waiting until the wind is at their back. That's the only reason I would say that they're not necessarily throwing darts out right now. They're gonna
they're gonna wait for. Okay, that makes sense. But ultimately,
I agree
any
with
trader should be putting money to work here.
Do you know what I did?
What?
I built these lovely bookcases behind me. That's what I did, and I've got 2 more to build. But no, honestly, I reopened my Soxel trade. It's been a minute. So I've been out of Soxel for a minute. So I went full bore into Soxel, and NVIDIA is now my 3rd largest holding.
Wow. Okay.
All right. I was gonna say
AMD before earnings.
AMD back tested that
before earnings. Before earnings.
I know. And it's back testing the breakout, right, on NVIDIA. The positioning I saw on NVIDIA seems like it's going to rip higher as well. Obviously, the positioning is always bullish in NVIDIA because it just crushes, but it looks like it's gonna rip higher. I love these flushes into major earnings and binary events. They actually work in the bull's favor, not the bear's favor, right? And so you have pivots and stuff. Obviously, NVIDIA earnings is tomorrow, and it can die. We all know that earnings are going to crush. It's going to be the response of the stock that matters to everyone, right? And you've had full retests across the board. Look at Intel. Look at
CLAC and LRCX.
Yeah,
clackety clack clack.
Both tapping the 50-day.
Yeah.
AMD is back testing, retesting that high volume candle high.
ASML. All of them, right? ASML, Dell.
I nearly went with some ASML, but I was like, I'm just full on degenerate right now. I'm embracing the degen economy, and if NVIDIA and Jensen don't break me tomorrow, you'll see me on a beach somewhere with a bum elbow.
Funny you mentioned the degen economy. DraftKings kind of looks like it's putting in a higher low here.
You like it?
I mean, I like the weekly. I like it better above 32. If price could reclaim that 32, I think I would be definitely looking to get. I mean, I don't own any right now, but that's where I'd be looking at least throwing on a starter. If it can reclaim even the 30, 50 to 32, I would be in the camp that it's going to, head back towards the high end of the range, which would be, 47, 48. And then you kind of clear that. And it's, the weekly chart, the higher time frames in DraftKings looks like a giant cup and handle. I mean, yeah, I see that too.
It's at the point that it's got to make or break, right?
Yeah.
Like it's got to turn around, or it's probably going to go into the lower 20s. Right?
There's
too hard.
What would you say? There's about 4 or 5 risk on indicators flashing green today.
Tell me what they are, GP.
IWM is green.
Oh my God, IWM.
Crypto is green.
For now.
XPI is green.
Drugs.
Yeah, drugs are on fire.
Right? And for me, on a day like today, Tesla would be down like 50 fucking points, right? Like it would have gotten absolutely hammered. And maybe it gets hammered tomorrow because every day is a crapshoot with this name. But that's back-to-back days. Actually, that's 3 straight days of showing relative strength in this market weakness, right? Like it was the first to go green on Friday, or one of the first to go green, and was pushing higher. Yesterday, while the market was taking a dump, it was pushing higher, and then once the market really took a dump, nothing withstood the selling. And today it is down 1.5%. Started pushing up higher before the markets even reversed. So like there's a handful of things that tell me that there's definitely risk on stuff that's going on. Crypto is nice, but crypto's been dead for a month and a half or 2 months. So being green today is not the best risk on indicator. It's just oversold bounce, right? Like that's ultimately what it is right now until it proves itself.
I fully blame you, GP. I'm just going to place blame. I can't bite my tongue anymore. Last Monday, you said Tesla 550 end of week, and we just proceeded to shit the bed after that.
I did, but I also said what? There was
550?
a second.
It's Tesla 550
about the markets.
Tesla 550. That's what you said.
I'm pretty sure I got called a wet blanket a few times last week.
Well, it's surprising coming off Tesla 550. So that's why you're getting the blame. Nick's over here. He's always jolly and bullish, and I can't throw blame his way because look at that lovely beard. I mean, it's just too perfect. But you're the one over here saying Tesla 550, Tesla 550. And where are we since then? Let's see. Let's go back to Monday. This is on the daily chart.
We're down 20 points.
Yeah. Where's Monday? Where's Monday? There's Monday. We are down a whopping currently 10.5%. So wonderful. Wonderful.
No, it was a terrible call. It was an awful call.
Great call. Please keep giving Tesla all-time high calls. This is the point where I'm going to say I'll turn bullish when GP turns bearish. And that's me pounding the table if you couldn't hear that. No, I'm just teasing GP. I think that the market's been challenging, and as you mentioned, crypto has been dead money for the last 2 months. I mean, basically, we saw normal volatility happening from mid-September all the way through October, and now November's here, and it's Buckcoin and Ethereum and Sodoma are what is really just leading us down. And I'm tired of hearing the bubble talk on the chips. That's why, I love when shit gets hated. So that's why I went so big on NVIDIA today, and I went so big on Soxel this morning. I'm just tired of it. I know at the end of the day, again, in 5 years, what the price is today is not going to matter. And I'm not trading every minute chart. So why should I care? Why shouldn't I just buy the best company in the universe and say, this is where I'm planting my flag? And that's what I did, Nick.
Tesla?
No. Tesla is a customer, my brother.
Yeah. I kind of had that thought this morning. I'm like, you could probably just go like all in Tesla, NVIDIA, maybe Google and Bitcoin and fucking hang it up for the next 10 years.
You guys know how much I hate buying ahead of earnings. Like, I hate it. But I don't know. I don't think sentiment can get much more washed out than it's been the last 10 days or so.
Yeah, I got a measured move leg on NVIDIA at like 235, 240. I think ultimately if it gets up there, I think it's just going to gravitate towards 300 before we kind of see like a prolonged rest. But I don't know. I
got your mark up there, Nick. I've got your Nick zone up here. I'm ready for it. My body is ready.
I think next year is going to be a monster year. And there's still a nagging voice in the back of my head that says we're just going to chop into year end before we like absolutely blow the fucking roof off of this thing.
Make me a promise. I'm looking at you, Nick. Make me a promise.
I got it.
We're not going to have this lost decade talk for the next 6 to 8, 9 months.
No, I'm not there.
All right.
No.
All right. I love you.
No.
I've been in two schools of thoughts over the last couple of weeks, months. Last week you heard the 2021 vibes. Before that was the September 2020 COVID period. So I think that's like, if you're listening to me, if you think I'm flip flopping, that's the internal dichotomy that I'm battling through price action, and that won't resolve until we see how things kind of go. But if you go to the Q's monthly chart, Ben,
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
right? Like this is kind of like that you haven't squared off there, I think, because we've talked about it before, right? The September, like, you saw that was a miserable time, if you remember, in 2020, post after all that SoftBank, they were buying billions of dollars in options and causing a massive gamma squeeze. We literally just sucked ass for 2 months, right? And then we continued our trajectory a little bit higher. And so that's kind of where I've been sitting in that camp, but also being true to the fact that, holy shit, there's a lot of things getting absolutely murdered underneath. So it does have the 2021 vibes, right? Like, so that, I think that, like, if you're seeing me post things in that scenario, that's what's going on in my thought process, is like, okay, well, I think it's 2020, but now I'm seeing 2021. So I don't want to stick to my original bias, because if I'm wrong, it's going to hurt a lot, right? 2022 is miserable. Yeah, but we're like, there's a lot of things here. We're sitting in the VIX mid 20s. Yeah, we can get a spike higher in the next week or two, as we've seen in the past, but it's you got a lot of price action that we need to figure out over the next month or so too. But if it is 2020 October, November, which would be November, December of this year, which would go along your theory of Nick of the year end being not so fun for a lot of people. Everyone thinking, and we heard it before, everyone was thinking that massive rally into year end, and then we chop for 2 months. While they reposition themselves for their 2026 moves, can make sense, right? And then you can see after that September, October move, it was pretty much a grind up after that.
Yep, until it cascaded downward.
Yeah,
to retest the same area.
Like, it's constant retest, right? We've been talking about these retests for. Look at HIMS, right? HIMS and Meta are the two greatest examples in this. Like, Meta,
let's stick on the Qs. Let's stick on the Qs for a second, GP.
Yeah.
I think that we have talked about these retests, and I'm gonna scale down to the weekly. Let's get that guy out of here. I mean, we can pick out a lot of different points on this chart where we might have retests. But where are we done retesting, right? As opposed to failing. And this looks like a good spot for it, but I could have said, 20 points ago was a good spot for it too. What makes you think, other than Meta, and this might have to do with the HIMS conversation that you're getting ready to bring up, what makes you think that, we don't maybe have another 10 points or another 20 points lower to find that retest? Because right now, support, there's no support until something holds, and we're really not seeing anything hold just yet. This is a weekly chart, right?
Yeah.
So the week's not over, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. So I see where we're at, and yes, we can make that argument, but we could have made that same argument last week. And a matter of fact, I did make that same argument last week, but here we are.
On the Qs is what we're talking about?
Yes, sir. We can go to HIMS too, if that helps you illustrate the point more.
No.
But I'm not so sure that, coming back to this over here is what we were talking about. This is the weekly again. And then we found this later in 2022, right? And I'm not saying we're in a 2022 downward spiral here. But the only place that I see on this chart that I would bet the farm on as rock solid support is right here.
The 480 level?
Well, no, that's 540.
540. Okay, the breakout, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I always thought was going to happen. Once we tagged the 6740 level on the SPX, right? The breakout retest, which is a 10% correction. But dude, the mayhem that's happening underneath without even correcting like 5% is part of the conversation. Can they concentrate it just to, like you saw it in end of March and early April, the names that were getting destroyed stopped getting destroyed. HIMS was a great example then, right? And Bitcoin was a great example then, stopped getting destroyed. It bottomed 10, 12 days before the market's bottom, right? Which is why I say the VIX can still spike for another week or two, and you have tradable pivots. Ultimately, if you get out, it's a small risk, but it's gonna be you're gonna need mayhem, right? It's gonna have to be mayhem, and it's possible that mayhem can happen. Ultimately, we're inside the prior month for the Qs.
Yep.
And so if and when that breaks, then we can talk about that. In my opinion, like you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green months on pretty heavy volume, and now you have an inside month setting up here. If we break 589.05, then I can see it accelerating lower. But
the last month's low.
Yeah. Right. And the thing is, a lot of these movements, especially on these monthly candles, if it's a bigger major reversal, what usually happens is a move above the prior month's candle. It's a look above and fail, right? It's the bull trap, so to speak. We didn't get that. It's possible that we can still fail. I'm saying it's common that it happens that bulls try to push it higher, get slapped in the face, and then they become the exit liquidity, and the candle then reverses lower and then continues to go lower. So I don't see that either here. So that's my thought process, that we could be at a level where it makes sense to put money to work.
Give me some probability here. Let's just say on, in a percentage scale, percentage probability that we hit the bottom versus percentage probability that we have another leg lower. Nick.
Oh man.
I want to hold you to it. I'm going to write it down.
Yeah. I'm leaning to the downside. Like I think we still got more room to the downside here. I think NVIDIA will be is a market mover. So if
that was my next question.
If they gap, okay, so the way I'm looking at the Qs is basically that neckline breaking today. So this could be the beginning of that kind of head and shoulders break. On the flip side, if NVIDIA, if they gap and run, it's going to make this neckline break look like a bear trap. I've got fibs drawn from kind of the igniter bar on May 12th on the Qs up through highs. And I'm kind of with you. I think, if I was going to literally back the truck up about the farm, it'd probably be versus that 545, 555 area. Yep. On the Qs, we have like a really 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got like a 5-week tight at 575. So I'm leaning towards us holding the 575, 585 as of right now. That wouldn't actually complete the measured move on this head and shoulders pattern. The measured move on the head and shoulders is down to about 565. So that gap fill it coincides with that gap fill. And I think if price was heading down there, I think that would look pretty good, because there'd be a lot of people in they'd be thinking the same way that I am, that 575, 585 hold. It's kind of the retest of that prior range. If they break below that and kind of hold that gap, I think it would be kind of a pretty like V out scenario from there. Plus you got the 200-day, catching up to price here. Yeah,
So
NVIDIA
probability
is
you
kind of the
lean
game.
toward lower, but NVIDIA could sink us or be the savior of this market.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen it. When Jensen speaks, like, he's moving the market in one direction or the other. I still think every time I hear his name, I remember I wasn't he the one, or who was the one that no, that wasn't him, actually. Never mind. Somebody was talking about quantum, and they referenced ion Q. But that wasn't Jensen, now that I'm thinking of it. But either way, like when NVIDIA, like when he speaks, like he's gonna move the market one direction or the other. So yeah, I think that it's more about how the market reacts than what they actually report. But
hey, GP, so your probability, not mentioning butt plugs and getting railed.
Probability. What was the question again? I'm distracted.
Give me probability on this was the bottom, this is where we're calling it, or probability of lower on a scale of 0 to 100. Which way do you lean? 50-50. Hedge your bets.
I would say, I'm looking at it, just looking at the chart here.
That's okay. Because me and Nick, surprise, are probably thinking lower.
Yeah,
but NVIDIA could save everything.
I'm thinking 90-10 higher.
Ooh,
like that.
Ooh, GP. So now this was the question I would have asked Nick if he was more bullish. Are we going to see something like the quarter? What was that? Quarter 4 and quarter 1 reports from NVIDIA that reignites this after chopping sideways basically for, what was that? Nearly a year. I mean, we've already broken out.
Yeah.
But
so
do we need a base or do we need to come back in?
I'll give you the reason why I think it's 90-10, right? So
I'd love to hear it.
Qs, go to the half-day chart, 4 hour, whatever.
4 hour chart.
Yeah. Okay. So you see the two big red candles that Nick was talking about there, right? The 10-10 candles, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of us are talking about head and shoulders, right? Because it's pretty obvious that it looks like a head and shoulders. But what have I always talked about head and shoulders? Where does the volume come on a head and shoulders pattern?
The left shoulder.
Yes. Not the right shoulder.
The right shoulder.
Yeah, correct.
No. It'll be the one before the shoulder breaks down, right? So if you're looking at the chart, it'll be the one on the left.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We're same page. Yeah.
Yeah. So why is that? So let's talk about why that is, because it's in like a human psychology and a chart distribution pattern, the left shoulder and the head are typically where volume shows up, because if it's a distribution model, they are not selling to you when it's starting to break down. They're selling it to you when it's breaking out, right?
Yeah.
So that's the distribution model. They're selling out to you in terms of it. Where do we see the volume on this chart?
On the right.
On the right. So yes, could it be worse? Could it be more? Sure. But if I was, let's say it's 80-20, not 90-10, but ultimately the volume is all sitting on the right side, right? So all the panic, all the selling is already happened. And we haven't broken the head and shoulders pattern, right? So to me, the risk to reward and your cautious entries are to the pain trade is higher here, right? Because after the last month, for the amount of people who have gotten absolutely railed with or without butt plugs, whatever, is astronomical. There isn't a single soul, maybe unless you went to cash at the highs fully, but there isn't a single soul in the investor base that isn't feeling that the markets aren't down 5%. They're actually down 20, 30, 40%, right? So the pain trade here is still, in my opinion, higher because it has stopped out a ton of people in the last week and a half. Can it continue to stop people out? Absolutely. Sure. I'm not saying it can't. But if I'm putting my odds at what makes sense, what logically makes sense here is like, dude, just look at the pain that meta investors are experiencing, right? They are absolutely getting. There's no lube, there's nothing, right? It's just straight down, right? And so if all of a sudden, like let's say NVIDIA reports higher and it moves higher and it says that we're partnering with Meta and Meta fucking jumps 10% off that circular economy that we've talked about, right? How many people are going to be left wanting their shares back in Meta after the last month, right? And you can probably say that across the board. So I don't like this question ultimately because.
Well, that's why I ask it. Yeah. That's why I ask the hard questions. I'm journalism right now. I'm journalisming all over you, and I need you to tell me the answers that you don't want to give me.
And that's like, so a prototypical head and shoulders pattern, right? Is what we just talked about, where the volume is and stuff like that. And that tracks with psychology, right, Nick? This is something that you follow a lot. People aren't distributing to you after it's down 30, 40% or 5% in this case on the Qs, but they're distributing you at the top. They're like Meta was a great example. Meta, Monster, ERB, they crushed it, and all they did was sell. And look
everybody
at the
crunched it. Yeah, everybody crunched it. Right.
And all they did was sell. They're not selling down here.
Microsoft crushed it. Everybody crushed it.
And so, but you look at the candles go to the daily chart on Microsoft and Oracle. We talked about Oracle too, right? Capitulation to the upside. These are all earnings moves. Oracle, Microsoft, Meta, all capitulation to the upside, that's the final distribution level. And it's been distributed out. Now it just tagged the April 9th highs in Meta. Microsoft was getting beat up too. And so, yeah, I'm in the camp that pain trade is higher. And look at what Meta's doing as we're talking.
Yeah, I would agree with you for sure.
So you're changing your whole probability.
No. I'm saying I definitely agree that the pain trade is higher.
Because bears overstay their welcome, just like bulls overstay their welcome.
Yeah, I mean, the market, we're in an uptrend. It is a bull market. We're pulling in and we're correcting. We're not we're not in bear market territory. So at any point we decide to run and continue and move into continuation mode, we're going to be leaving so many market participants in the fucking dust. Just think about how many already got obliterated in the early half of the year and did not get involved whatsoever and have not gotten involved whatsoever. I think kind of back to your head and shoulders, talking about it, if you see the volume, that's a kind of a good tell there. I think when you're talking about volume, if the majority of the volume is showing up on the build out of the left shoulder into the head, you want to see the volume really, really start to ramp and accelerate and in fact exceed the volume on that left shoulder to really kind of say, hey, this is going to follow through. Yeah, it can follow through on lower volume. I'm not saying it can't, but if you're going to be stacking like odds, you know, and whatever, like that's one of those things that you're going to want to be paying attention to. So, yeah, I don't know.
So this is like, if we're, I'll step back for even like a larger conversation around this, right? Like, so if you're looking at the last 5 to 7 years, right? And if you think about just general market psychology, is the last 5 to 7 years, there have been obliterations in the market, right? Like you're talking about absolute destruction. So every moment we move higher, there are less and less participants, right?
Yeah.
And so what this basically does is it creates this narrative, in my opinion, this is, of course, this creates this narrative that not narrative, but it's basically people are not there for the long ride, right? And where there's a lot of people talking about blow off tops, right? And why blow off tops happen. There a lot of blow off tops happen. Why? Because people FOMO and chase it higher, right? The Qs, we talked about this so many times. In 2000, the Qs blow off top in 2000 was 100% move in 5 months in an index after a decade of going high, almost 9 years of going higher and higher and higher, right? And there was a lot of chop along the way. So to me, this is the pain trade is higher because the lack of market participants will be the catalyst that gets you the distribution you need, right?
I'm just sad. My portfolio's down 5% in a month.
Hims is green. Hims is green. Google is green.
First Solar just went green.
First Solar has been unusually strong, by the way, like insane. You know the other one that I've been keeping an eye on?
NXT?
No, Spear.
Oh yeah,
SPHR. This is the globe, the Spear in Vegas, and
the Sphere.
I think this run has happened because they're already anticipating what I think is going to happen, which is a Taylor Swift residency. So I'm not going to front run this, but if it gets some significant weakness, I'm looking for entry here because if it's a Taylor Swift, she brings in bazillions, right? Like not billions, bazillions, and if there's one way to save the declining markets in Vegas, it's a Taylor Swift residency. Whether she does it or not, who knows? Maybe Travis Kelce gets traded to the Raiders.
I think Homeboy's getting close to calling it a wrap, but that's a different podcast where we talk sports.
Yes. We got to get Rob on there. Big shout out to Rob.
Shout out to Rob. So we got like 15 minutes. I see a bunch of charts getting thrown in here. You guys want to take some charts? You want to talk something else?
I'm
happy to talk NVIDIA all day because that's where my mind is at.
Yeah, we could talk some charts. I was just gonna kind of point out, like, if you are leaning bullish, especially right now or even into the end of the year, like relative strength, like focus on the RS names. I think Alex man, he's got like, you know, COHR, like NXT. A lot of the kind of alt energy names are showing relative strength. Obviously the drugs. Solar stuff looks fantastic. I think he pointed out, NXT as well.
He brought up Embraer. They look great. Those are jets for the people who can't afford to fly. Those are jets.
If you don't mind, because we have about 12 minutes left, let's continue talking the markets and let's answer the chart questions on tomorrow's podcast, right? Because
lovely. Sure. Yeah. Sorry, Zand man, you're gonna have to wait till tomorrow.
Come join us. Honestly, like we're gonna be doing this tomorrow for an hour.
2 p.m. Eastern time. Stock Twits Community Rip Live. We're there. We'll make
a note of these charts.
the
His
same
names look great
thing.
anyway. I think he
He's
probably
killing
knows
it.
that.
Yeah, he's killing it. I love that Embraer chart. I'm gonna look up Tigo real quick. Randy always has the names. Randy, are you along this from the teens? I bet you are. Oh yeah, AXAA. All right,
no
we know who you
wonder.
are, Sandman. Yeah, your charts are always on point, brother. But look at Randy. Look at Randy. Randy does this shit every time. He's probably long somewhere in the mid-teens here. And look at this winner Randy's got. It's already up 100, 200%. Anyway. What more markets would you like to talk, GP?
So let's Nick, I'd love to actually Ben, I'll start with Ben.
Sure.
What days like this does in markets like this is it breaks your mental capital, right? It destroys you to the soul. It just does, especially if you're a trader and you're active. Ben, you're not as active.
Right.
So I ask you, in moments like this, like yesterday was obviously where I was sitting in the corner, but how do you just turn off stuff and don't look at stuff? Or is this the time where you step in and be like really start charting hard and paying attention more?
Nope. I could give a shit less about what charts look like right now.
Yeah.
But because charts are going to repair themselves from time or price, right? That's how they correct and that's how they repair.
Yeah.
And this happened when we had that huge flush. Was that early October or late September when we had that huge flush on a Friday? And I don't know what I was doing. I was out living life. It's not that I avoid bad news or avoid price declines, but just like I don't get worked up when we're rocketing to all-time highs, I'm not getting worked up when we're making new lows. And basically, I mean, I think I said it earlier, I'm down 5% this month. Ooh, I'm just crying my little eyeballs out over it, and I'm building bookshelves and shit, right? Like, so for my action today, that came from, you guys know I love to buy either Monday's bounce or if Monday keeps selling off on a Tuesday. I don't know how many times I've said that I do that tactic. And what am I going to do? It's a Tuesday. I've got some cash to burn. So bang. I wanted a bigger position in NVIDIA. I still am bullish to the long term on semiconductors. So NVIDIA and Soxel back into my account or adding into my account for NVIDIA. And honestly, GP, the only time I looked at this chart, and I'm pulling up the NVIDIA chart, the only time I looked at this chart was this morning, and I had the 1 hour, the daily chart up, and I see that little pink line. Actually, I'll come to the actual chart that I looked up because I don't use the show charts. I use my own chart, and I don't have a line there, and I'm not going to bet down to 170, but I talk about this pretty endlessly, right? Long wick, right? Wick. So I just look over the last, I don't know, and I find those wicks, and it's like, okay, where do I want to buy? So I got in at about $182, and I'm happy with that. It's almost where I bought my initial stake in NVIDIA, I don't know, a month and a half ago or whatever. And yeah, I bought 2 tranches at the same price, and I'm okay with that. But what I really like is Soxel as a whole, right? And yeah, the candle, the chart looks like shit. But again, I'm betting on NVIDIA saves everybody's bacon tomorrow. Primarily, as you named, Nick, those daily stochastics are oversold, and Stoke leads RSI, and it leads everything around. Now, can it stay oversold? Absolutely. But I'm making a strategic bet that both of these names, Soxel and NVIDIA, are putting in their local bottoms here. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It wouldn't be the first time I was wrong. I was most recently wrong about loving crypto through October, right? And it didn't happen. So You gotta let those trail stops hit, right, Nick? You gotta let those stops happen. Get that cash and redeploy it out. So there you go, GP. I don't know if that was a long answered way or long-winded way of answering you.
We spend a lot of time. Me and Nick spend a lot of time. Me being the dominant talker, do a lot of talking, but we don't always ask you a question. So I thought it'd be nice to get perspective, right?
I think part of that is because you guys are active every day, right? And I'm not. I rarely look at the daily chart, so I'm mostly on the weekly charts and monthly charts. And I'm not over here trying to make trades often. I'm just trying to make trades that compound over time. And if I'm wrong on NVIDIA in 5 years, I'm pretty sure that $184, $182 is going to be like, oh man, I wish I'd bought more NVIDIA. So may as well buy it now when I think it's showing some weakness. Now, can we keep going down? I kind of think we are going to keep going down a little bit further, but I'm buying that lottery ticket that NVIDIA is going to save the market tomorrow.
Fair. So the other thing is like rates, right? Like we've been looking at rates. I think the thing that a lot of people, like I know the Fed has been talking nonsense and unfortunately they've gone political and it really drives me nuts. But like the economy is suffering in many parts of the world, right? We know that we've talked about this many times. And the companies that have diligently fought through the last 2 to 3 years of like this topsy-turvy data dependent, oh, by the way, the data's all wrong, or sorry, we have no data. Oh, sorry, we're just schmucks ultimately. These companies have figured out how to stay profitable in one of the most historical rate hike cycles, and then just the Fed continues to fall flat on their face, right? And they bring rates down. They ultimately unlock what American power is about. Our small businesses, our economy. We drive this shit forward through our small businesses, right? So like it really, really annoys me what the Fed is doing, but I have no impact in that. On that same note, you got to take a look at the 10-year treasuries here.
They have 10-year.
They have been butting up against this weekly resistance for months now, and looks like the Fed talk is all going to fall on deaf ears ultimately. So I think it's the symbol is ZN.
ZN for the 10-year. I just look US 10-year up.
No, that's fine. So literally we're at the top of this base here, right? And just have the 200 SMA on the weekly, 250.
250?
No, the 200 and the 50.
Yes, the 50 is the yellow, the 200 is the red.
Okay. And so you see the green as well. What is that, the 9?
20.
So this is telling you that rates are coming down, in my opinion, because this is the inverse relationship of treasuries to rates, right? So we've been battling this declining 200 SMA on the weekly forever. But what's happening in that process is that the 50 week is starting to curl. This crescendo is usually a recipe for upside moves. It can be downside moves, but you're also sitting at the top of the base here. So I would lean to the side that we're going to get more significant rate cuts in the coming, I know whatever the prediction markets are saying, but I love this coil that's happening here. Is it miserable to wait 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks? Sure. But this is the part that when you ask me about my probability, this is what I see as a probability. And you're seeing that via small caps today, right? Small caps retested that area in 2018. In 2024 December, when the Fed was like, we're going to slow down rate cuts all of next year, assholes. And like they're trying to get inflation down from 2.5% to 2%. Meanwhile, we're losing people's jobs like consistently. And Jay Powell himself said it last week or 2 weeks ago that there is no job growth because of AI, right? Like, anyway, sorry. I thought this was another perspective that you want to take a look at in terms of overall market strength.
Nick, do you ever look at the bonds and what treasuries
I
are
don't
doing?
really. Yeah, no,
I do when I'm bearish.
Yeah, all right, I get that. Yeah, no, it's not something I really pay much attention to at all, really. Maybe I should.
When general themes change, right? Like, so,
Sure.
To me, technical downtrends require a lot of work, which is why, which is all the conversations about UNH and Celsius and stuff like that. It just takes a lot of work to change, and bonds are in that point where things are going to change. So the shift in monetary policy that we had in 2022 is now potentially shifting and going into 2026. So if you're looking at that 2026 is going to be a great year, Nick, this also supports your theory, right?
It's just I have a pretty curated feed of like information that I consume, and I try to layer it all. Everything from astrology and numerology to psychology, performance psychology, all like kind of all of it. And 2026 is speaking in terms of nuology, it's a 1 year, and it typically marks the beginning. And like there's a lot of numerologists talking about how what we're seeing and what we're experiencing on a mass collective level right now is a crumbling of kind of like of old programs, and we're really going to be shifting into something entirely new. Whether that necessarily means that we're going to like rip into this massive bull market, that's where kind of the technical piece comes to it. Like, as a technical trader, ultimately my belief is that price is truth. And so,
I agree.
you know, like, you could scream at me all day that, you know, Tesla's this or that, but if the chart, if a bullish pattern is presenting itself, like, I'm going to lean bullish. Like, it doesn't really matter what the narrative or fundamental story is. So that's just kind of why I think 2026 is going to be kind of a massive year. And I think that the kind of obliteration and growth kind of lead of heading into the end of this year is kind of a perfect setup for that, like a massive reset. And kind of to your point, when we were talking about the head and shoulders, it's like, if those in the know are buying what will be, not what was, they're not buying so much on the way up. They're buying on the way down. They're creating the floors. They're creating the levels that, you know, most of us probably are going to be trading against. So, I don't know where I was going with that, other than just I try to layer. I try to layer a lot of the information I consume, but then it's all really getting boiled down into what the charts look like. I think in days like today, or even the last couple of weeks, as you allow trail stops to hit, I think that journaling is more important than ever. I think that scanning and setting alerts is like a retail trader's best friend. You know, the weekly chart is my favorite time frame to scan, and that's generally what I'm setting alerts on, versus kind of a lot of times I'm looking at either the long-term moving averages or individual candles where there's like a long tail that I can kind of set alerts, versus like the high or the low. I think for, you know, a lot of people, journaling, scanning, and kind of shit posting is kind of the way to get around and avoid over trading, which I know is for active traders, that's kind of one of our probably biggest pitfalls is over trading. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, historically, I've definitely had a tough time. You know, when I don't have a problem allowing trail stops to get hit. I don't have a problem. Like, there's so many things that, like, I think a lot of people struggle with that I don't feel like I have a problem with. But in moments of chop where it's like I get stopped out and immediately want to put that capital back to work, it's like, dude, just lay out the fucking keys.
Yeah. Well, and same things what happens right when all-time highs just keep getting made, right? Like you feel like if you have cash on the sideline that you're missing out, right? I think Nick, you said it before, just trying to squeeze that extra percent out, and sometimes that gets you right in the ass, right?
This is why you need butt plugs.
Butt plugs.
And with our third reference to those, we're going to wrap this show up, baby. Last words. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see you tomorrow. GP, anything?
2025 is the year of the snake.
2026 is the year of the horse. Let's fucking go.
So what are you guys saying?
It's been a snaky market.
No.
But the horsepower is coming.
There it is. Yes.
You know, mine is just stick to your process. But as Mrs. Baggs was walking out this morning, I told her she should embrace her mistakes, and she gave me a hug. See you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Right on Stock Twins.